Sahawya, there's nobody else, only I.
Yes, my mom will join, and I think Sadia is also going to join soon. I say Mama joining. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير. السلام عليكم.
Walaikum salam, sir.
How are you now, Sadia?
Alhamdulillah, sir.
Alhamdulillah. Let's start. Today's lesson is going to be about food. Okay, can you tell me, Adnan, what did you have for breakfast today?
I had chocos.
You had chocos with milk.
Yes.
What did you have, Sadia?
I just woke up, sir.
You just woke up, no breakfast. You'll have breakfast in between the class.
Yeah, after class, lunch.
Okay. So chocos is cereal. Let us see what we say for cereal. Cereal is jaboob. Jububun. So how do you say what did you have for breakfast today? You'll say mata.
Jububun.
No, what did you eat? So you'll say mata, akalta,
Maza akalta.
lil faturi.
Okay. Maza akalta lil futuri.
What is lil faturi?
Lil futuri is, I think, breakfast today.
Right, for breakfast. Li is for. Al fatur is breakfast. Then goes iftar, lil iftari or lil faturi. So iftar is breaking your fast. Okay, or you can say lil iftari or lil faturi. Mata akalta lil faturi. What did you have for breakfast today? How will you make it present tense? What do you have for breakfast? How do you say what?
What is Maza?
Mata, very good. Mata. Now, akala means he had. Akalta is you had. Present tense of akala is yakulu.
Yakulu.
So yakulu is he has. How do you say you have?
Yakulu is
How do you say you have, Sadia? How do you say you have, Sadia? Yakulu is he has.
Takulu.
Again?
Takulu.
Takulu. Takulu is masculine or feminine?
Feminine.
No, takulu is masculine. How do you make it feminine? You saw it yesterday.
Takilina.
Takulina.
Takulina.
Lina comes only at the end. You become takulina. Mata takulu or takulina. How do you say for breakfast, Adnan? How do you say for breakfast? How did we say for breakfast in the first sentence?
Sorry, I was on mute. Lil Faturi.
Lil Fatori. للفطور. How will we ask Sadia? What do you have for lunch? Lunch is al-ghada.
ماذا ماذا تقول
For Sadia it will be takulina.
ماذا تأكلين
Lunch is al-ghada.
غدا
So how will you say for lunch?
للغداء
للغداء. للغداء. ماذا تأكلين للغداء. And what do you eat for lunch, Sadia?
I don't know what's there.
But what do you generally
Rice. Rice.
eat? Rice is aruz.
الرز
Aruz is rice. Now, how do you say I eat rice? How do you say I eat? Yakulu is he eats. Takulu is you eat. Now, how will you say I eat
Akulu.
akulu? Very good. You say akulu. Al aruzu or al aruzza?
Aruz.
Aruzu, aruzza.
I think Aruzu.
Aruzu means it will become the subject.
Aruza.
Aruzza. I eat what? I eat rice. Akulu al aruzza. Awesome. Now we'll jump to the lesson. How many meals do you eat in a day or per day? The way you would say this is, how do you say how many? How many is come. You say come, wajbatan, takulu, fil yomi. And say in a day. Come, wajbatan, takulu, fil yomi is how many meals do you eat in a day? How do you say this, Sadia? How many meals do you eat in a day?
Kam wajbati takulu fil yomi.
Very good. Come, wajbatan, ta'kulu fil yomi. How many meals do you eat in a day? How do you say this, Adnan? How many meals do you eat in a day?
كم وجبة تأكل في اليوم
Very good. Now, which is the word here which means meal?
I think تأكل no
Ta'kulu is you eat.
Wajbatan.
Wajbatan. Wajbatan is meal. In English, you say how many meals. In Arabic, you will say how many meal. Wajbatan is meal. Now, yes, how will we say meals?
watch
I think you're saying the answer. How do you say meals?
I don't know
Wajbatuna.
It is irregular. It's not wajbatuna. It is wajabatin.
وجبات
So how do you say meal?
وجبة
Wajbatan or wajbatun.
وجبة
After come, you will put double fatha. Okay, so that is rule of come, which we've seen long back. So come. After come, the word will be singular. You'll say how many meal, and it will have double fatha. That is rule of come. So wajbatun is meal. How do you say meals? How do you say meals, Sadhya?
Wajbatan.
Wajabatin.
Wajabat.
Wajabatin is meals. So after come, you will say wajbatan. That is the rule of come. Come, wajbatan, ta'kulu fil yawmi. How many meals do you eat in a day? Now, how will you say how many pens do you have? How do you ask this question? How do you say how many, Sadia? How do you say how many?
Come.
Come. Now, how will you say how many pens? What is pen? Pen is kalamun.
Kalam.
How will you say how many pens?
Kalamatin.
So you will say kalaman.
Kalam.
The rule of kam is you will say pen singular with double fatha. So you say kam kalaman. Do you have is laka. Laka literally means for you. How do you ask what is your name? How do you ask what is your name, Sadia?
Ma ismuka.
Ismu ka. So ismu is name, ka is yours. So name of yours. So it's the same ka. So how many pens do you have is kam kalaman laka. It literally means how many pens for you, or how many pen for yours. Kam kalaman laka. How will you ask how many books do you have? Question for you, Adnan. How many books do you have? How will you ask this? How do you ask how many? You're on mute, Adnan.
Um,
How many is?
how many is come?
Very good. Now, how do you say books?
Come.
How do you say book?
Kitabun.
Kitaban.
Kitabun.
After come, you will say kitaban. How will you say do you have? Laka or lucky. If you're asking Sadia, you will say lucky. If you're asking Sadia what is your name, you will say Masmuki. How many books do you have? You will say kam kitaban lucky. Okay. Now, how will you say I have 3 meals? How do you say 3 meals? What is the number 3? Do you remember, Sadia? How do you say 3? 3 is
Salasat. Salas.
very good. Now, how will you say 3 meals? What is the rule that you will use for 3 meals? It is a number between 3 and 9. You'll say thalatha. Will you say wajbatun or wajabatin? Numbers 3 to 9, you will use plural.
Wajabatin.
You say salatha wajabatin. So, how will you say I eat 3 meals? How do you say I eat, Sadia?
Kala.
Salat is 3. How do you say I eat?
Akala.
Akala is I eat. Akala is he eat.
Akulu.
Akulu. Akulu, 3 meals. How do you say 3 meals?
Akalu. Salasat.
Salata, how do you say meals? How do you say meals?
Wajabatan.
Wajabatin.
Wajab.
Akulu, Salata, wajabatin.
Wajabat.
I eat 3 meals. How do we say this, Adnan? I eat 3 meals.
Akulu. Salasa. Wajabatin.
Akulu, Salata, wajabatin. Very good. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Who remembers how do we say breakfast?
Wajabatin.
Wajabatin is meals.
Okay. break.
How do you say breakfast? Remember iftar. How do you say meals? Breakfast is like iftar. What is the word that we saw which sounds like iftar? Al-fatura. Al-fatura is breakfast. How do we say lunch? How did we say lunch, Sadia? Lunch is al-ghada'a.
Al-Ghada.
And dinner is al-asha'a. Remember Isha? Isha is the salah. Dinner is asha. Al-asha is dinner. So how will we say, Sadia, breakfast, lunch and dinner? How do we say breakfast, Sadia?
Iftar.
Iftar or al-fatura. And lunch is
Ghada.
al-ghada'a. And dinner is
Asha.
al-asha'a. Very good. So al-fatura, al-ghada'a, al-asha'a. How do we say this, Adnan? Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Akulu. First was al-fatura wal-ghada'a wal-asha'a.
Very good. Al-fatura, wal-ghada'a, wal-asha'a. هذا كثير جدا. What is هذا كثير جدا? Who can guess what is كثير? Okay, so I can only see books. Let me search كثير جدا. Okay, who can guess what is كثير? So 3 meals is هذا كثير جدا. What can be كثير? كثير is too much. So if you want to respond saying that this is too much, you will say هذا كثير جدا. هذا كثير جدا. Yes, this is too much. How do we say, Sadia, this is too much?
Haza kasirun jiddan.
Very good. هذا كثير جدا. How will you say this is very little? Little is قليل.
Haza kasiru.
كثير is too much. Or many. Many is كثير. Little is قليل. So how will you say this is very little? Or this is very less? You'll say هذا قليل جدا.
Haza qalilun jiddan.
How do we say, Adnan, this is too much?
هذا كثير جدا.
Very good. How do you say this is too little? هذا قليل جدا. هذا قليل جدا is this is very little. Now how do we say, Adnan, I eat 3 meals? How do you say I eat?
Akulu.
Very good. Akulu. 3
Three.
is ثلاثة.
ثلاثة جدا.
No, jiddan is too many. Jiddan is many.
Okay, so
Now, how do you say meals?
ثلاثة غضبة I think.
Wajabatin. Very good. Akulu thalatha wajabatin. How do you say again? I eat 3 meals.
Okay.
Say again.
آكل
Akulu.
ثلاثة وجبات.
Very good. Akulu thalatha wajabatin. I eat 3 meals. How do you say breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
I eat lunch. آكل
Al-faturo.
الفطورة
Ghada'a.
الغداء عند
Which is the salah you pray in the night?
العشاء.
Isha. This is Asha. Asha. So Isha is the prayer. Asha is the meal. Al-fatura wal ghada'a wal asha. Now, how do you say this, Adnan? How many meals do you eat in a day?
This
How many is?
kal
Come.
kam
Come. How do you say how many meals?
kam غدوات.
Wajbatan.
Okay.
Come. Wajbatan.
kam وجبة.
Do you eat is takulu.
تأكل
اليوم.
اليوم.
So full answer.
كم وجبة تأكل في اليوم؟
Very good again.
كم وجبة تأكل في اليوم؟
في اليومي. Again. Now without saying.
كم وجبة اليوم
في اليومي.
اليوم
You eat. How do you say you eat? Takulu. Takulu. Takulu is you eat.
تأكل في
Now how do you, what is akulu wajbatan wahidatan? What can this mean, Sadia? Akulu wajbatan wahidatan.
I ate too much.
Akulu is I eat. Wajbatan is?
Lunch.
No, wajbatan is meal.
Okay.
Wajbatan can be anything. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Wajbatan is meal. How many meals is? Come wajbatan. It's the same wajbatan. Akulu wajbatan is I eat a meal. Wahidatan. Wahidatan is one. So I eat a meal, only one. Or I eat a single meal. So I eat one single meal. Or I eat a meal. Single is akulu wajbatan wahidatan. So if you want to respond saying 3 meals is too much, you'll say hada kathirun jiddan. This is too much. Akulu wajbatan wahidatan. I eat only one meal or I eat a single meal. Akulu wajbatan wahidatan. How do you say this is too little or this is very little? We saw it before. You say hada. How do you say very little, Sadia?
Akilan.
Qalilan. Hada qalilun.
Qalilan.
Hada qalilun. And how do you say very? Very is jiddan. Say hada qalilun jiddan. One meal is very less. Hada qalilun jiddan. How do you say this, Sadia? What do you eat for lunch? How do you say what?
Maza takulu
Mata takulu. 4 is
ghadai.
again. How do you say for lunch?
Ilal ghadai.
Ila al-ghadai will be to lunch. How will you say for lunch?
La ghadai.
Li al-ghadai.
Al ghadai.
What do you eat for lunch? Would be Mada takulu li al-ghadai. Mada takulu lil ghadai or fil ghadai in lunch. Mada takulu fil ghadai. What do you eat in lunch? I eat rice and bread. How do we say, Sadia? I eat.
Akulu.
Akulu. How do you say rice? Rice is al-aruzza.
Al aruza.
Al-aruzza. And bread is khubza. Akulu al-aruzza wal khubza. Akulu al-aruzza wal khubza. I eat rice and bread. How do we say this, Adnan? What do you eat for lunch?
Maza.
Mata.
Maza takulu.
Very good. Mata takulu
Is
or is li.
li
Li al-ghadai.
ghadai.
Mata takulu lil ghadai or fil ghadai. Mata takulu fil ghadai. What do you eat for lunch? How do you say this, Adnan? I eat rice and bread.
Akulu. Rice
Rice is al-aruzza.
al-aruzza. And bread is
Al-khubza.
khubza.
Now you know if you go for Umrah or for Hajj, you know how to say what you want to eat. If you want to eat rice, you'll say Akalu al-aruzza. I eat rice. Or if you want to eat bread, you'll say Akalu al-khubza. I eat bread. I eat fish and salad and fruit. I eat fish is samakun. Samakun is a fish. Salad is salatata. Salataton is salad. And fruit is fakihatun. The fruit. Okay. What is fish, Sadia?
Samakun.
Samakun. Very good. What is salad?
Salatun. Salatatun.
And what is fruit?
Fakihatun.
Fakihatun. Now, how will you say I eat fish and salad and fruit? You say Akulu, Asamaka, Wasalatata, Walfakihata. How do you say this, Adya? I eat fish and salad and fruit.
Akulu as-samaka was-salatata wal-fakihata.
Very good. Akulu, Asamaka, Wasalatata, Walfakihata. How do we say this, Adya? I eat fish and salad and fruit. You're on mute, Adnan.
Oh, sorry. Akulu as-samaka was-salata wal-fakihata.
Very good. This is salatata. Akulu, Asamaka, Wasalatata, Walfakihata. I eat fish and salad and fruit. What is your weight? Would be ma waznuka. What is your weight is ma Waznuka. What is your weight, Adnan?
60.
How much?
60.
60. How do you say 6? Sitta is 6. So 6 is Sittatun.
Sintatun.
Okay, this is 6. Now 60 is Sittuna.
Sittuna.
Is 60. This is Sittuna. Now, how do you say 60 kilos? You say Sittuna Kilan.
Sittuna kilan.
How will you say 6 kgs? We'll see that later. Okay. Sittuna Kilan is 60 kgs. With 6, I will tell you what you say for 6 kgs. So you say Sitta Kilu Gharamat. Okay, this is a little complex, so we'll skip that. So 60, you say Situna Kilan. With 100, it will become Kilin. 100 is Miatu. So with 100, you will say Miatu, but you will use Kilin. So between 11 and 100, or between 11 and 99, you will use Kilon. More than 100, you will use Kilin. Okay, like how many pens do you have? How will you say 60 pens?
Sittan.
60 is Situna.
Sittuna. Sittuna kalamun.
No, you will not say Kalaman. You will say Kalaman.
Kalaman.
You say Situna Kalaman. How will you say 100 pens? Let's say Miatu.
Miatu.
Will you say Kalamun, Kalaman, Kalamin? Say Kalamin.
Kalamin.
100 and more, you will use Kalamin.
Okay.
How do you say 60 kilos, Adnan?
Sittun.
Situna,
Kilo. Kiluna.
Situna,
Sittuna kilo.
Kilan.
Kilan.
Say Situna Kilan. How do you say 100 kg? Miatu
Miatu kilin.
Kilan. Very good. How do you say fruits? How do you say one fruit? How do you say fruits, Sadia? Fruit is Fakihatun. Fakihatun is a fruit. How do you say rice, Sadia? How do you say rice?
Azrun. Arzun.
Aruz. Very good. So aruzun is rice. How do you say fish, Sadia? A fish.
Samaka.
Samakun. Samakun is a fish. Now question to Adnan. How do you say bread?
Arzun.
Aruzun is rice.
Okay.
Bread is khubzun. Khubzun is bread. How do you say he eats? Sadia or Adnan? Who can give me the answer? How do you say he eats or he is eating? He eats is yakulu. Yakulu is he eats. Takulu is
She
you
eats.
eat or she eats. Takulu is you eat or she eats. So this is mat'am. Mat'am. Who can guess what is mat'am? Mat'am is restaurant. Ta'am is food. So how do you say meal? Who remembers how do you say meal? How do you say how many meals do you have in a day? Come, wajbatan. Wajbatan is meal. Food is ta'am. Okay. Matam is place where food is served. It is matam. Matamun is place where food is served. That is matam. So this is dinner. Dinner is asha. How do you say lunch? How do you say lunch, Sadia? Lunch is ghada. Ghada is lunch. How do you say breakfast? How do you say breakfast, Adnan?
Breakfast is
Fatur. Fatur or iftar is breakfast.
yeah.
How do you say meals?
Meals is wajab. No.
Wajabatin. Wajabatin is many meals. How do you say one meal?
Wajab.
Wajbatan.
Wajbatan.
Wajbatan or wajbatun is one meal. That is one meal. Wajbatan. How do you say 60 kgs?
60 kgs is Satan.
Sita is 6. Situna is 60.
Tuna kilon.
Kilon. Very good. And weight is wazan. Wazan is weight. How do you say orange? Or how do you say little? Very few.
No.
Very few is qalil.
Qalil.
Qalil is very few. How do you say many?
Qalilun.
Qalilun is few. How do you say many?
Many is
How do you say many, Sadia? Many is kathir.
Kasir.
Kathir is many. How do you say 100 kilos? You say mi'atu kilin. Mi'atu kilin is 100 kilos. Now, how do you say fat? Fat is samin. Samin is fat. Fat feminine is samina or saminatun. Does anyone have a friend called Samina?
no, sir.
No. Do you have a friend, Sadia, whose name is Samina?
No, sahbe.
No. So if you have a friend called Samina, it means fat. So you can call them fat. Now, how do you say thin? Thin is nahif. Nahif is thin. Nahif is thin. Samin is fat. Now, what we'll do is we'll read dialogue. Okay, the dialogue will use what we have learned. The vocabulary that we have learned will be used in the dialogue. Now, Adnan, you read blue. Sadia, you read orange. So Adnan, you start with Aina tadhabu ya Salimu.
أين تذهب يا سالمة؟
Ya Salimu.
إلى المطعم.
كم وج كم وجبة تأكل في اليوم؟
أكل 3 وجبات: الفطور والغداء والعشاء.
هذا كثير جدا. أين أكل وجبة واحدة؟
Ana akulu wajbatan wahidatan.
هذا قليل جدا.
ماذا تأكل في الغد؟
Ghadai.
الغداء؟
آكل الرز
Akulu al-aruza.
والخبز. وماذا تأكل أنت؟
آكل السمك
Salatata.
والفاكهة.
ما وزنك؟
This is 60. Sittuna.
60 كيلا. وما وزنك أنت؟
100 is mi'atu
100 كيلا.
kilin.
أنت سمين جدا.
Saminun.
وأنت نحيف جدا.
And then this is anta saminun jiddan. So saminun jiddan is which picture? The one on top or the one at the bottom?
Down.
No, down is thin. Thin is nahif. Which is saminun?
The fat one.
The one on top. The fat is saminun. What is nahifun? Nahifun is thin.
Okay.
Nahifun is the one at the bottom. Nahifun jiddan is very thin. Okay, and that is new vocabulary for today. Now what we'll do is we will see how much Sadia and Adnan remember from yesterday's lesson. How do you say this, Adnan? When do you wake up on holidays? How do you say when?
When is I think
When is mata?
okay. متى تستيقظ؟
Mata tastayqidu. How do you say holiday?
Holiday is
Yawm al-utlati. Mata tastayqidu yawm al-utlati. How do you say this, Adnan? When do you wake up on holidays?
متى تستيقظ يوم العطلة؟
Very good. How do you say, Sadia, I wake up early?
أستيقظ مبكرا.
Mubakkiran. Astayqidu mubakkiran is I wake up early. How do you say I wake up late?
أستيقظ متأخرا.
Mutaakhiran. Astayqidu mutaakhiran, I wake up late. How do you ask this, Adnan? What do you do in the morning?
متى متى
Mata is when. What is mata?
ماذا
Mata you do is taf'alu.
ماذا تفعل عند
In the morning. How do you say in?
Indal.
No, in is fi.
Fi.
As-sabahi. ماذا تفعل في الصباح? ماذا تفعل في الصباح? What do you do in the morning? Let us see if you remember this, Sadia. How do you say I watch TV?
أشاهد
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 التلفاز.
التلفاز.
أشاهد التلفاز. I watch TV. I watch TV is أشاهد التلفاز. How do we say this, Adnan? I read a newspaper or a book. How do you say I read?
I read is
Quran is what is read. So think of Quran. How do you say I read? أقرأ.
raw.
أقرأ is I read. أقرأ صحيفة أو كتابا. أقرأ صحيفة أو كتابا. I read a newspaper or a book. أقرأ صحيفة أو كتابا. How do we say this, Sadia? I wake up around Fajr time.
التلفازة.
Tilfasa is TV. How do you say I wake up?
آكل عند الفجر.
أستيقظ في الفجر.
أستيقظ عند الفجر.
عند الفجر.
How do you say I wake up around Zuhr time?
أستيقظ
أستيقظ عند الظهر.
عند
أستيقظ عند الظهر would be I wake up around Zuhr time. عند الفجر is at Fajr time. أستيقظ عند الفجر. I wake up around Fajr time. How do we ask this, Adnan? Where do you pray Fajr?
Where do you pray Fajr?
Where is Aina? Aina تصلي
أين تصلي
الفجر. Aina تصلي الفجر. Where do you pray Fajr? How do you say this, Sadia? Where do you pray Fajr? How do you say where, Sadia?
أين.
Aina. How do you say you pray?
You pray
تصلي.
تصلي.
Aina تصلي الفجر. How do we say this, Sadia? I pray Fajr in the masjid.
أصلي فجري إلى المسجد.
في المسجد. تصلي الفجر في المسجد.
في المسجد.
تصلي الفجر في المسجد. How do we say I go to the masjid for salah?
أذهب في المسجد.
No, في المسجد is in the masjid. How do you say to?
إلى المسجد.
إلى المسجد. How do you say for salah? للصلاة.
للصلاة.
للصلاة. And where you have lam with al, you will skip the alif and you will join them. You make it للصلاة. للصلاة. So how do you say this again, Satya? I go to the masjid for salah.
أذهب إلى المسجد في الصلاة.
للصلاة.
للصلاة.
أذهب إلى المسجد للصلاة. Okay, so we've answered these questions. Any questions, Sadia, Adnan, from what we covered today?
No, sir.
Okay, now 2 questions, okay, and then we will close. How do you say how many meals do you have in a day? Who can give me this answer correctly? How many meals from? How do you say meals?
كم أجوات
Wajbatan.
وجبة.
From wajbatan do you eat? How do you say you eat?
تأكل. هل تأكل؟
Al takulus, do you eat? With come, you are already asking a question. Come, wajbatan.
تأكل.
Takulu. In a day.
في يوم. في اليوم.
Fi al yawm. Very good.
في اليوم.
Sadia got the first answer. How do you say this, Adnan? How many meals do you eat in a day?
كم وجبة تأكل في اليوم؟
Very good. How do you say I wake up at Fajr time? Who can give me this answer? How do you say I wake up at Fajr time? I wake up is? Which letter will it start with? Will it start with A? Will it start with Ya? Will it start with Ta? Will it start with Ya? Ah. So what is I wake up? Us?
أستيقظ
Astayqitu, very good.
عند الفجر.
Very good. Sadia, done 1-1. Astayqitu in the Al-Fajri. Now tiebreaker, okay, last question. How do you say I sleep after Isha? Tough question. How do you say I sleep after Isha?
أنام.
Very good. Anamu?
أنام
أنام بعد فجر.
After Isha?
بعد عشاء.
بعد عشاء.
Isha-i. After Bada, you'll use E. Asham, Anamu, Badan, Isha-i. Very good. Both of you give this answer. So tie. Both of you are winners. Okay, with this we'll close. Very good. So this is usual common vocabulary and it's very easy. With little practice, you will be able to start making basic sentences, inshallah. Okay, with that we will close. Subhanallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Catch you all next weekend, inshallah.